One of the words we hear quite often in the retranslation of the Roman Missal that came out 12 years ago is majesty. We heard that word majesty in the opening prayer of this Mass, when we turned to the Lord and asked Him for the grace to serve His majesty in sincerity of heart. When most people hear this word majesty, they think of kings and queens and the proper form of address to them, Your Majesty. This is a welcome connection because in faith, we acclaim Jesus as a true King, indeed, the King of Kings. This word majesty, it turns out, has deep political significance. In the Roman world, the Latin word majestas, from which we get our word majesty, meant the supreme power and authority of the Roman state. First the Republic, then the Empire. To advance the majesty of Rome was the highest honor. To detract from that majesty was the worst offense, deserving the harshest penalties in Roman law. Kings and queens began to demand that their subjects call them by this exalted term just around the time they were consolidating their power over their nations, sometimes even over the church. They wanted to assert their grandeur, their eminence. It will not surprise you then to learn that this term, Your Majesty, entered the English language through none other than the infamous Henry VIII of England. This is all to say that majesty carries considerable political implications. And when we use this word majesty in our prayers to God, we are meant to use that word in the fullness of its subversive political message. Because the truth is, when we acclaim the majesty of God, we demote and relativize the majesties of this world. When we profess our faith in the majesty of God, we proclaim that Jesus is the highest King and that He deserves our first love and first loyalty. This faith shook the ancient world with its absolutist and totalitarian tendencies. The reason we believe in limited government in the West is because of the power and majesty and grandeur of Jesus' kingdom. And we, all of us, by virtue of our baptism, are meant to serve this majesty, God's majesty, first and foremost. And we do this in a very specific way. St. Paul tells us that each and every one of us is commissioned as an ambassador for Jesus, an ambassador for this kingdom. Wherever we go, wherever we are sent, we are meant to advance the agenda and the majesty of God. And this clarifies what it is we are sent to do on this World Mission Sunday. We are all sent to be ambassadors. And we fulfill our ambassadorial role and advance the majesty of God every time we guide someone closer to Jesus. That majesty is advanced every time Jesus is enthroned anew in a human heart and soul when that person is baptized. This is our mission. Ambassadors, of course, live out their mission in a foreign country. Ambassadors represent their homeland in a foreign place. They advance the agenda of their homeland in a foreign place. But while they do this, they have to respect the legitimate authority and jurisdiction of their host country. All of us here are in the United States. Most of us, I imagine, are citizens of the United States. But we are citizens in a secondary sense, because our primary citizenship, our primary loyalty is to heaven, to Jesus, the King of Kings. Respecting the worldly authorities when they stay in their lane is what Jesus is teaching us when he tells us to render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Worldly governments provide many valuable things: protection, order, safety, and they ask us legitimate things: taxes, certain services. However, we can never forget our primary citizenship. We can never forget whose majesty we ultimately serve. We can never forget that first and foremost, we are ambassadors of a higher kingdom and a higher king, and we have been commissioned to His Majesty's service. Even though the Roman coin mentioned in the Gospel bore the image of Caesar, Caesar and all of our rulers and governors today bear the image of God as human beings. And we, as ambassadors of that same God, are sent to remind everyone, the very powerful and everyone underneath them, that they too belong to God, that they are God's because they bear His precious image. This, brothers and sisters, is our mission, our ambassadorial mission. And because the kingdom of Christ knows no limit, there is no limit to our mission field. There is no greater honor than serving the Lord's majesty, because there is no greater kingdom and no greater king.